The weekend death of South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham has his fellow senators returning to Washington this week in a period of uncertainty and reflection. Even though there are deep partisan divides when it comes to the issues, members of the Senate have been known to be pretty tight with one another across the aisle. And many Democrats and Republicans since Graham's death have taken to social media and done a number of news interviews reflecting on their work with him, and even if they disagreed on something, appreciation for his passion for the issues that he worked on. But when it comes to the business of the Senate, the margins are already tight. And so Republicans will be down Graham's vote, as well as that of Kentucky Republican Mitch McConnell. McConnell has been absent for several weeks as well, but over the weekend posted a photo and a statement detailing the fall and pneumonia he said have led to his absence. As for President Donald Trump, he has given media interviews where he's indicated that he knows he is without his top ally and defender in the Senate. Graham and Trump had been together on many different occasions. They often golfed together in addition to working on policy. And Graham had just been a big advocate for a lot of things that President Trump has tried to accomplish. So that's a moment of reflection for the president, too.
The Senate returns Monday under a grim cloud after the sudden death of longtime South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. President Trump reflecting on their friendship.
He was a great guy, and he was a friend. He would call me all the time. If I had Democrat problems, he could solve them. He was a man of all different abilities.
A preliminary medical report says the 71-year-old died of an aortic tear due to cardiovascular disease. Funeral plans are still being worked out, but those who were close to Graham are honoring him.
When I think about Lindsey's legacy, I think about courage, compassion, and results.
Think about the journey of Lindsey Graham and the story of America. Humble beginnings, struggle, challenges, hurdles, misery, and then a miracle to serve others.
And now the search for Graham's replacement begins. The governor of South Carolina will appoint a temporary replacement to finish Graham's current term, which runs out in January. A special primary then takes place in August, and the nominee will face Democrat Annie Andrews in a November special election.
There are a lot of conversations going on. I think whoever the governor decides and the president, I know they are discussing options right now.
The Senate is also without Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, whose health remains in question after a weeks-long hospital stay. In central South Carolina, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Yeah, I got up and my husband told me, so I just immediately started praying for him. It's all you can do. You know, there's nothing more we can. So he's a human being, and you just pray for them. I had been and kind of wasn't, and then voted for him anyway, just because I really believed what he was doing for the people of Iran was a good thing. So I voted for him for that.
Well, I think he leaves behind a legacy. Like any politician that's been in office as long as he has. I'm not a supporter of his policies, so, I don't really care about that. But again, sad to see him die.
He's conservative. He doesn't mind speaking his mind in the Senate. His foreign policy is pretty much where I stand. As far as taxation, he's conservative. Overall values. He initially stood up to Trump because Trump's made some bad decisions, but at the end of the day, he supported the foreign policy as far as Iran and things of that nature. So
I hope we get the opportunity to vote for the person that's going to take his place, and that we really find out who they are, because it's a hard decision when you know him, you know what you like about him, you know what you don't like about him, and he's proved himself in a lot of ways over all the years. He's got a big track record, so not to have a track record, it's going to be kind of hard to know who to vote for.
The
weekend brought another escalation in the back and forth between the U.S. and Iran. It started with Iran attacking a civilian vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. responded with airstrikes, which prompted Iranian rocket fire aimed at America's Gulf allies. Washington and Tehran are now pointing fingers and issuing new threats, both claiming the other side violated the ceasefire.
From the beginning, we said commitment in return for commitment. We have demonstrated this in practice. Whenever the other side violated its commitments, we too did not carry out ours.
If the Iranians want to act belligerent, then he will respond with overwhelming force.
It's not clear at this point if the White House is still looking for a diplomatic solution. The conflict is now clearly focused on the Strait of Hormuz, and a growing number of experts are saying only military force can keep it open.
In the end, this regime is likely never to change its way. They told us it was accidental that they fired at these ships. Wow, that's really bad.
On Monday, both Iran and the U.S. claimed they have control over the strait. The U.S. Navy is escorting ships through using a southern route near the coast of Oman. But with Iran still targeting tankers, it's not clear when the situation will stabilize.
Iran is using asymmetric warfare. They're using their drones and what's left of their missile capability to disrupt trade, and we've got to put a stop to that.
Negotiators from Pakistan and Egypt are now scrambling to get the ceasefire back in place, even though President Trump suggested it is now over. In Tel Aviv, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
This is the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow, bending waterway in the Persian Gulf and a trade route between the Middle East and the rest of the world that has global impact. The strait lies between Iran on one side and Arab Gulf states on the other, the latter of which includes several key US allies. At its narrowest point, it separates Oman and Iran by just 21 miles. It connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman, and from there, ships travel to the open ocean. While Iran and Oman both have their territorial waters in the strait, it's generally viewed as an international waterway. The strait links crude oil producers in the Middle East to key markets in Asia, Europe, North America and beyond. Around 20% of the world's traded crude oil and a similar share of natural gas passes through the Strait of Hormuz, much of it destined for markets in Asia. It has only 2 shipping lanes, but it is deep enough for supertankers. While there are pipelines in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates that can avoid the passage, most of the oil and gas that travels through the strait has no alternative means of exiting the region. When the region surrounding the strait is disrupted by conflict, the global flow of crude can be disrupted as well, increasing oil prices. The knock-on effect can have lasting impacts on the world economy, raising the price of oil and pushing inflation higher, meaning everyday goods and services rise in price as a result. On top of that, fertilizers and their components are exported globally in large quantities from the Persian Gulf. When these are disrupted, food supply, food prices, and food security are all affected as well.
Aquí hay gente que le quiere echar bola, pero traten de jalar más.
Nosotros empezamos allá donde están aquí las sábanas verdes, aquí donde están los panos. Después picamos más abajo, no, ahí no es. Fuimos para allá, esquina a esquina, ahí sí conseguimos la cocina. Nos vinimos para acá, detrás aquí, conseguimos un cuarto. Vinimos aquí donde está el hueco ahí, parte del cuarto más. Vinimos aquí, caímos en el baño. No, y aquí íbamos a picar a conseguir el cuarto que da para la calle. Y llegamos por la calle. No llegamos al cuarto. Entonces, ¿qué se hizo el cuarto? No sabemos. Y ni siquiera está aquí.
Hay un carro. Cuando tocaba picar para el 7, hay un carro atravesado ahí. Ahora no sé dónde más vamos a picar.
If you're having a hard time finding a place to live, you're not alone. Housing affordability is back in the spotlight after a new report from the National Association of Realtors showed home prices in the U.S. have now surged to an all-time high. The median price for a home last month was more than $440,000. That is up 1.8% from the same time last year. Prices have been on the rise for 36 months straight, driven by slow wage growth and economic uncertainty from the war in Iran. Some experts say those effects won't last long.
Once we get things stabilized in the Middle East, when that happens, you're going to see, I think, the market continue to grow.
But Democrats are hammering the Trump administration, accusing the president of failing to address the rising prices.
It doesn't matter what your political party is. I think we can all agree that housing is too damn expensive and hardworking Americans are asking for relief.
Federal housing authorities say they're working on it, but with mortgage rates remaining high, it will take time.
The mortgage market and credit is increasing, so I think the misperception is that it's not a priority. It is of utmost priority.
Meanwhile, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are hoping the recently passed housing bill will bring prices down.
I think they can come down with more supply. And let's look at it. A single family housing, about 20 to 30% of that housing cost is due to regulations. This bill cuts red tape.
That housing bill automatically became law Saturday, despite President Trump's refusal to sign it. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Volkswagen CEO says the company may need to cut 50,000 additional jobs. Reuters is reporting the news, citing an internal memo to staff from Volkswagen CEO Oliver Blume. Volkswagen had previously announced it needed to cut around 50,000 jobs across its Porsche and Audi subsidiaries. The latest news would bring the number of job cuts up to 100,000. According to the memo, the cuts are needed to match the competitiveness of its rivals. Paramount may be considering moving its corporate headquarters out of California. That's according to Semaphore, which reports Paramount CEO David Ellison has been told by advisors to consider the move. According to the report, the advisors are also telling Ellison to reallocate a proposed $30 billion in spending outside of California. And Gen Z is breaking a social taboo by sharing their salaries online.
The online world is not really a filtered world at all, and it doesn't have the typical norms of dinner table conversation.
It's called loud budgeting, part of a trend of encouraging people to be transparent about what they can and can't afford by sharing budgets, financial goals, and decisions on how to spend their money. It's happening as young adults deal with high living costs, job uncertainty, and growing pressure to make the right decisions. Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
It happens every summer. Blood donations spiral downward while demand spikes. But this year, the hit on the blood supply has gone well beyond all expectations.
In the past several weeks, we've seen an increased need from hospitals of about 3,500 units of blood each week, beyond what we would typically expect.
In the month of June alone, the American Red Cross says their supply of the nation's blood has been depleted by nearly 25%. Summer is already seen as trauma season, when hospitals tend to see more serious injuries and medical emergencies. Add in people traveling, plus July 4th celebrations and popular sporting events. It's equaled an influx of people in certain areas and an unpredictable need for patience.
When we see that our inventories are starting to drop and that hospitals may be forced to make difficult decisions, that's really when we need to put a call to action to bring donors in to help replenish those stores.
While all blood types are needed, the Red Cross says the shortage is especially serious for O positive and B negative blood, as well as plasma from donors who have type AB blood.
Someone needs a blood transfusion every 2 seconds in the United States. And so there are patients out there whose lives depend on the generosity of their community members coming in to give the gift of life.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
You know what I'm after? You want to be the biggest star in the world.
Michael hits $1 billion. The Michael Jackson biopic has crossed the $1 billion mark in global box office. It's the first biopic to reach that milestone, and according to Deadline, the first film by its studio, Lionsgate, to gross $1 billion.
we deserve it. We deserve to be who we are.
Honorary degrees for 2 Oscar-winning filmmakers. The American Film Institute is honoring writer, director, and producer Guillermo del Toro and writer and director Aaron Sorkin at the AFI Conservatory's 2026 commencement ceremony on August 7th.
One step away from your freedom, one breath away from the discipline.
Madonna is back at #1. Her new album, Confessions 2, has debuted atop the Billboard 200. It's Madonna's 10th album to lead that chart, and she's the first performer with a #1 album in this decade who's also topped the chart in 3 other decades. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
After years of war, no one could stand between my men.
Matt Damon stars in Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey.
It was interesting revisiting it and going, and realizing how it's, having now done movies for 35 years and realizing how foundational it is and how it is woven into basically every story we tell.
There's just so much to the story. I mean, it's this foundational text, and it just has all this incredible adventure in it and these incredible payoffs, and what a great story.
Ithaca's king is coming back.
No, he's not.
It's really the story about a man coming to terms with something that he's done, and which is such a simple way into a movie. And then you realize, oh, that movie is this timeless classic poem that is kind of like the anchor of storytelling.
You gods don't speak in ways we understand.
Who doesn't understand pain?
Or blood? The gods told you.
Then I defy the gods.
The manifestation of Athena is the lesson that he needs to learn, the thing that he needs to confront, the pain that he's caused. The real message it feels from her is the emphasis on humanity and your impact on others.
That doesn't mean you will come back. What if I can't?
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
A company of firefighters is going viral, not as much for their bold blaze-battling efforts, honorable as they are, but more for their impromptu, prancing partner in firefighting crime, Goldie the Goat. KCNC reports while Colorado Springs firefighters were hiking to a wildfire burn area, a local goat named Goldie appeared and, according to the department, helped lead the crew along a safer route.
She was actually trying to take us down an area that wasn't maybe quite as rocky, wasn't quite as slippery, maybe had better footing. So she was obviously a pro at her job.
But that's not all. The crew said while they worked the fire line, Goldie helped out by grazing on dry brush near the blaze. The efforts paid off. Authorities later confirmed the fire was 100% contained, and Goldie wasn't the only one eating it up. Social media users couldn't get enough, clamoring for more of the star Silly Billy. So Goldie now has her own line of merch, because of course she does, and a portion of those proceeds will go to the Castle Rock Professional Firefighters Association. And while that goat was helping out firefighters in need, a Georgia firefighter needed some help after encountering angry wasps that weren't helping the situation at all. The Sandy Springs Police Department shared video of a fire crew member trying to hook up to a hydrant when he accidentally stirred up an angry nest of wasps.
Go ahead. Is that Yellow Jackets? Yep.
The firefighter had a few, choice words during the aerial attack, but bravely kept doing his duty, aided by a nearby police officer who used a fire extinguisher to clear away the swarm. The police department later said they'd add Bee Rescue to their growing list of provided services. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Off to the races. Dinosaur-clad contestants pumping their prehistoric legs at the 2026 Emerald Downs T-Rex World Championships. In the men's division, that's Chase Mertz in green from Seattle out in front, stomping to the finish line ahead of the pack and claiming a very large green trophy to match his get-up. On the women's side, a photo finish. Mimi Miyazawa rumbling her way out in front, claiming the title by the length of some little T-Rex arms. Sealing the day with big smiles and a big purple trophy to celebrate the victory.
La verdad es que sí es una inversión bastante fuerte comprar las estampitas y entonces creo que poder estar con muchísimas personas que tenemos el mismo fin. Creo que reduce la parte económica. También propicia pasar un momento en familia y sobre todo pues a poder llenar el álbum, ¿no? Que es lo principal.
Pues disfrutar, si se llena, si no se llena, ya es muy aparte, la verdad, disfrutar la convivencia, disfrutar las actividades y el ambiente.
O sea que es un éxito, es algo que rompe récord y que formes parte de eso, pues es algo especial.
Fox 54 Plus has your news, sports, and weather. Start your evening with Fox 54 at 5:30, delivering the latest headlines and live reports straight from the scene. Then, stay informed with Fox 54 News at 9, featuring your Tennessee Valley certified most accurate weather impact team, tracking everything from tornado threats to traffic delays during severe weather. Fox 54 Sports Extra brings you more of what sports fans crave, with deeper insights, expert analysis, and all the action that matters most. On Fox 54 Plus, you'll also find Alabama politics, plus 24/7 weather radar and real-time forecasts to keep you ahead of the storm. Looking for a quick recap? Don't miss Fox 54 Week in Review, highlighting the biggest stories of the week. Jumpstart your morning with Morning Rush. Fast-paced news updates, featured with uplifting stories from across the globe. Get your entertainment fix with Getting Real, where we break down movie reviews, top 10 lists, and spotlight the newest film. Die Hard fan? Locked On Sports dives deep into the Crimson Tide, the Tigers, college rivalries, and pro action. True crime warrior style? Killer Cases brings you gripping real-life stories that stick with you. Hungry for more? Cooking with Style serves up mouth-watering recipes that are easy to make and impossible to resist. From movie previews before you head to the theater with Take a Look to must-know headlines from across the region and around the world with In the News. Watch all of these shows on demand and also on the Fox 54 News app. Available on Android and iOS devices. Streaming 24/7.
There's more to Fox 54 Plus with the Locked On Podcast Network. From the Tide to the Tigers, from college teams to pro, the Locked On Podcast Network gives you insights and analysis you just can't find anywhere else.
These kids, they want to play.
But I don't think so. I think it was Chad Baker Mazzara.
Locked On Sports, streaming every day of the week and right here on Fox 54 Plus.
Your wife is in a bar. You said she's under sergeant.
This is what he's going to tell you.
Trying to find the first place to put a body.
No, sir. The only thing they could do was kill him.
The jury and to find the defendant